Hello everyone, Bashar here. So we had an important change in this season, and this happened mid-season. So if you played at the beginning of the season and quit like in 1 month in or so, you wouldn't maybe know this, or if you skip the season in its entirety again, and maybe there is some stuff that you missed about that I can tell you about. So I was going to talk about the tablets change with patch 031. The way that the tablets worked was changed entirely. If you recall, back in the olden days, you would go to a tower. You would have to do the tower with a certain amount of modifiers. The number of the tier of the waystone that you put in would amplify the potency of the tablets. Rather, the number of maps affected by the tablets was amplified by the tier of the map. Tier 15 would effectively double, but not literally, because 99%. And the number of modifiers on the map would give you tablet slots, right? Normal map would give you 1 slot, 3 modifier map would give you 2 slots, and 6 modifier map would give you 3 slots. That was the old way. Now it's changed. You are putting tablets in every single map, right? That's been changed, and of course that makes a difference. So first of all, tablets used to have like 10 to 18 charges on them, something like that, right? There were a lot of charges on the tablet, right? And it was random. And the overseer tablets used to have like 2 to 4 charges. Now all tablets have 10 charges, period, right? They drop like that. Obviously, they can have 9, 8 when you use them, but they do get applied to every single map that you do. I mean, as you can see, I'm using overseer, breach, and a regular precursor tablet here. And so this change made a difference in the potency of the tablets, and some tablets way of operation, I guess, a mode of the tablets. So some modifiers were increased in potency because now they only have 10 uses instead of putting it in the tower and get like 36, 35 uses out of them, right? Because an old tablet could have up to 18 users, and you could put that in a tower with a tier 15, tier 16 map, and you will get 35, 36 uses out of them, right? Now that's been changed, so the amount increased. So if you recall, guys, the XP used to be 5 to 10% or something. Now it's 5 to 20%. So the XP can go up to 20% now. The waystone quantity dropped. I don't recall the old value, but now they can go up to 50%, and I don't think it was 50%. Rarity can go up to 30. Rare monsters can go up to 40. Gold goes up to 40 again. Oh, look at the gambler guy. He's buying my garbage against the darknesses. Yeah. So yeah, the quantity goes up to 50%, the gold goes up to 40%, the rarity goes up to 30%, rare monsters goes up to 40%, and this is of course a rather big, change. These numbers were lower. Quantity has not been changed. Quantity sadly goes up to 10. They didn't do that. And these two tablets also changed the way they operated. So if you recall, guys, Visions of Paradise was you would put it in a tower, right? And if the map, and it would spread irradiated all around, right? And if you completed an irradiated map within range, instead of completing it, it would remove the irradiation, right? Now it's the exact opposite. You use it on the map itself, not in the tower. And if the map was not irradiated, when you complete it, instead of getting completed, it turns irradiated, right? I mean, it's kind of reversed. And the difference that makes is, first of all, you cannot have a very nice bunch of maps and use a single Visions of Paradise to do them all twice, right? You have to pay a Visions of Paradise for every single one, and a Visions of Paradise costs a little below a divine these days, I think. Yeah, or a divine, yeah. But of course, the ratio could not be correct. I think you can get it for a little below a divine, but it's about there, right? So the difference that this makes is when you have a very nice map like an anomaly map, like Jade Isles, for example, where you get the sweet Rakyata for about 15-20 divine. I don't know how much it's worth these days, but 2-digit divines. So what you were able to do was you were able to do it the number of towers in range plus 1 times, right? So for example, if you have 3 towers in range of your J dials, or rather J dials in range of your 3 of your towers, then you were able to do it 4 times. Why? You go to the first tower, you put the Visions of Paradise in, right? It gets irradiated, you complete it, irradiation gets removed, you go to the other tower, you again use an irradiated tablet there. You don't need to use Visions of Paradise because the Visions of Paradise is already affecting it, right? Whenever, if you can give irradiation back to it, Visions of Paradise would proc. So at the cost of a single Visions of Paradise, you were able to do a nice map by the number of towers plus 1 many times, right? As I said, 3 towers in range, you could do it 4 times. 2 towers in range, you could do it 3 times. Now you can only do it 2 times, right? Once with Visions of Paradise and once without. But it's still useful. This also is useful for Citadel farming, which I will do a separate video on, but while we are here, let me also tell you that. Thing is, guys, it's very easy to get 2 fragments from a Citadel map, right? Some map with a little bit high quantity of Waystone and 3 tablets with quantity of Waystones. They have to be all irradiated like this, right? Don't use these are expensive, but you can perfectly get like 45% ones and the regular map or something like that. And thing is, you are paying 1 divine for this tablet, right? And the corrupted arbiter fragments cost a little above 1 divine, and Act 1 Count Junior 1 cost about 2 divine. And the thing is, when you are getting 2, you are paying 1 divine to get 2 divine at the very least, so it's profit, right? And the map is not going to be very nasty because you are not going for extremely high amounts of Waystone find. You can do it in the second time around, right? And this tablet also was changed. This is the only tablet that can be used in towers now. Well, I did phrase that wrong. All tablets can be used in towers, but this is the only tower specific tablet now, and you use it in tower map, and when you complete the tower, it makes every single map within the range of the tower accessible. And so this is kind of working the way it is, right? One special thing about it, though, I mean, that's not a change, that's actually old, but you might not know this maybe. So for example, guys, I use the ground project in here, right? Well, let me just put it somewhere I have discovered, right? So let me find a tower for a nice example. Okay, so let's say I put the ground project here. It will make this map accessible for me, right? Which I don't have access to, as you can see, because it's darkened, right? And this is still not a very good example. Yeah. Okay, let's, for the sake of argument, assume that this map is not accessible to me, okay? So what I mean to say is, I use ground project here, makes this one accessible for me, and we are assuming that this is not accessible for me, so this will also give me access to that. What I mean by that is, you can access a access a map that is not connected, and then all the maps that are connected to that map will be connected. So it's not a one-time thing, right? What I mean, yeah, I did discover these very properly. Yeah, I'm trying to find a map that's okay. That's gonna be a final example, I think. So this would be within the towers range, right? And using the ground project here will give me access to this one, right? I get access to this one, and then I can continue with these even though they will not be in the towers range. Or, if this one is in the towers range, I can continue with this one. Know what I mean? So you can pick it up there, because, at first I thought that's not possible, but it is. And another thing is, it does not make anomaly maps accessible, right? I have heard that from someone. That's not correct. So you have, let's say, J dials, whatever it is, right? A nice anomaly map within the range of a tower. You use the thing on the tower ground project. It does not give you access to the anomaly map. You have to earn the access. It sadly does not work that way. So, and about the tablet slots, right? I told you how it worked in the olden days. Now I will tell you how it works these days. Okay, so the way that you earn a tablet slot is you just put any map in and you will have one tablet slot. You have to put a map with 3 modifiers in order to have access to 2 tablet slots, and you have to use a tablet with 6 map with 6 modifiers in order to have access to the third and final tablet slot. And which means guys, that you kind of have to do 6 modifier maps, right? And 6 modifier maps can be a little bit nasty if your character is not properly done, or maybe a little bit weak in some respects. For example, very high evasion and no energy shield, those characters have a very high tendency to die, right? You could just randomly get one-shotted or something. So, or your resistances are not maxed. So the thing is, these days I think it's important to have either a very high amount of life, or have an okay amount of life, mediocre amount of life, and a high amount of energy shield, so you can keep doing 6 modifier maps. And guys, even in season 1, where I had really powerful characters, I mean, except with the most powerful ones, I was doing 4, 5 modifier maps, because I wanted to have access to the additional revives so the map doesn't go to waste, and so on. But nowadays I don't think that's acceptable. You have to be doing 6 modifier maps, because missing on a tablet is way too much, right? For example, guys, it could have 30% rarity, 40% rare monsters, 10% quantity, and of course an additional affix as well. So for example, pure evasion can't do this, right? I did play pure evasion and it just can't do it. I mean, even if you have obscene amounts of evasion, like 80% or something, you will be still getting it 20% of the time. Now that we have deflection here, it's a little bit better, but still it would be mighty dangerous. The game is a little bit more playable these days. You do not get one-shotted off screen, at least, right? I did have that beautiful experience, especially with the expedition monsters back then. Nowadays they have been quite nerfed. So yeah, I think what patch 031 brings is that you actually have to have a character that is somewhat durable, and that is not me needing to get good, right? I have friends that are pretty good at this game, but one of them was playing a glass cannon, right? Maybe like 300 energy shield, 1600 HP Deadeye, right? And he was a Trial of the Sekimas farmer, and whenever he stepped into maps, he was not able to last 10 maps without dying, right? It's not possible, because he goes for 6 modifier maps in order to use 3 tablets, and some nasty combination occurs and you die, right? And there is of course the beautiful headhunter, that is the very good killer of players, right? Extremely annoying, the blink, I always forget the name. You randomly get teleported in the middle of a million monsters, and if you do not have any survivability, then you can die. And of course, if you are playing a Deadeye, you will be riding the birdie, and if you are squishy, that means getting thrown off the mount means that you definitely die, right? You will not be able to survive that. So I can survive it if I'm lucky, right? I get a few arrows in, and at the same time I get knocked down, so there are not too many enemies, and I can take the damage, right? Because I have more than 5,000 and I can handle it. But if your total HP is around 2,000, energy shield plus life is around 2,000, that's not gonna work. So yeah. And one more thing, guys, you can make some money. So if you played at the start of the season, right, and you have some tablets like these, So this one is not very valuable because this is not very good. But tablets with more than 10 users, they do not exist anymore, right? So this is the last time they exist, right? They will exist in standard only in 1 or 2 months, right? And ritual tablets are obscenely valuable. And I'm talking about the worst ones. The worst ones are divines, right? And so if you have something with, like, as you can see, I have a very little amount of ritual tablets. Why? Because I had my old ones and I sold them, and they sold for insane amounts of stuff. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, I kind of sold them all, didn't I? So the old ritual tablets with more than 10 users sell for us. Let's just take a look at this, guys. Blank 10 use tablet. Take a look at this. 10 use non-magical tablet. 2 divine. This is 5 uses, of course. This is not very good. it's divines, right? And this is with 5 uses only. So yeah, and the thing is, guys, some modifiers are valuable, right? Pack size is very valuable, especially for rituals, right? XP is valuable, so they can get more valuable. They can have 2 additional rerolls, which is a very rare modifier, but very valuable. I think the highest I sold was like 5 divine. 5 divine for a single tablet, guys. Insane. So if you are sitting on those, right, I would suggest that you just put them up in your shop before the season ends, and you can get a nice sum of divines, because after the season ends and they get converted into standard, there are a lot of those tablets out there, right? So patch 01, patch 02, they have been all dropping tablets with tons of users, right? So there are a lot of those out there, so the supply will be much higher. Right now, the only ritual tablets or any tablets with more than 10 users are stuff that dropped prior to patch 0.3, so you could make a little bit money before the season ends. And of course, the other tablets are valuable as well. So very high quantity of waystones is valuable. High XP ones are very valuable. Yeah, especially the breach ones, because breach adds the most monsters to a map. So breach with additional experience, the people that go for level 100 buy them. They are pretty valuable. And when I say pretty valuable, I mean like half a divine or so. And this is like 17% or so XP. If it's like 20% XP and a breach, right, that's gonna be divines. So yeah, just sift through your tablets. And if you are not feeling lazy, obviously, as you can see, I'm feeling lazy, but you can also 3-4-1 them at the reforging bench. So let's say you have 3 bad irradiated tablets, you just put them there, and you can get something good out. And thing is, guys, do not look down on irradiated tablets, the basic ones, right? They are very common, I know, but there are still combinations out there that are pretty valuable. Let me try to show you, for example. Should be divine, 1.5 to 2 divine, and let's say 10 uses. Yeah, 1.5 divine or so. See, but of course 50 is perfect. That's pretty valuable. But let's say 50 to 20, none exist. Take a look at that. 2 divines. I'm gonna guess it would sell for about 2 divines. Yeah. So yeah, tablets are, and the good thing is, guys, even when the season dies in air quotes, tablets still sell, right? People still play, right? I mean, the sales are not as fast they used to be, but at least they can still sell maps and tablets. Yeah, those sell. Okay, so that's about it, guys, and I will see you in another video. Bye bye.